Takac. I'm from Buffalo, New York, a Libra, and I play bass in the Goo Goo Dolls, founding member.
Dope. And you guys weren't always called the Goo Goo Dolls, were you?
Uh, with any moment of significance in our career, yes, we were always called the Goo Goo Dolls. We did have a name that we did a demo under, which wasn't great, so we picked the next worst one.
You'll have that sometimes, I think. Because I did read the name, so that's funny.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so you guys are actually going to be in town. It looks like Friday, August 15th at the Everwise Amphitheater.
Oh,
You guys
yeah.
are on tour with Dashboard Confessional.
Yeah, man, it's been amazing, quite honestly. Yeah, our crowds are like vibing out, man. It's great.
That's awesome. You guys, the tour is called the Summer Anthem Tour, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that will also be the name of our EP album, maybe whatever they call them these days, that we're putting out in August as well.
Awesome. I think I read, did you guys partner with a nonprofit for this tour?
Yeah, we've been working with the Joe Torre Safe at Home Foundation for maybe the past 4 or 5 years, and this is the first year we've actually brought the whole thing out on tour with us, and we're selling autographed guitars in the back of the uh, venue, and that money goes straight to those guys to help out with all their good deeds that they do.
And what is it exactly that they do?
It helps with domestic violence and folks that are having a tough time getting their life on track like that. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
And did you have like a special connection to that, or was there something that really drew you guys to partnering with them?
It's well, I mean, they do amazing things, of course.
Definitely.
But but actually, our one of the people in our who work in our office is a enormous baseball fan, and he knew Joe Torre. So we got into conversations. John did a couple of solo acoustic things for them, and then the band sort of just got into work with them a little bit. But
That's
they do really great things.
that's awesome. How cool is it that you can say that you got, part of the you got I'm like I get solo acoustics from the Goo Goo Dolls. That's fine. No big deal. Speaking of that, you guys have a new single that is it coming out or it just came out? Nothing Lasts Forever.
Yeah, yeah, it came out about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, maybe something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm behind the times now. I have to listen to it.
Ah, yeah, it's a cool song. We did we were supposed to take last year off. We ended up doing 80 shows, so we didn't take the year off. But
Definitely not.
in the cracks, we recorded 7 new songs. So those songs will be out as a collection mid-August, but we're dropping singles kind of along the way here.
Nice.
Breadcrumbs to lead you to the record.
Yeah, yeah. You kind of have to do stuff a little bit differently like that nowadays. It seems like
Yeah,
you have to
it's
utilize social media and yeah.
yeah. It's a quick hit world these days. You
Hmm.
like you go, hey, guess what? And that's good for about 3 minutes, and then
Yeah,
they're on to the next thing. And
yeah,
so you got to keep those. Hey, guess what? You got to keep those coming.
yeah. You guys utilize TikTok now, I think, for that, right?
Well, we ourselves, I mean, we use it like we sort of use traditional social media. I don't know if like we're at this point in our lives, if we're TikTokers really, but I do think that the band has benefited unbelievably from TikTok
Yeah, so I
and
say I might have said that a little wrong. I think TikTok
yeah,
is using
yeah,
your music to
yeah,
trend.
it's crazy. And like some of our old performances, like we did a we released a live DVD in 2004, and there was a big rainstorm at the end of it, and like that like went crazy, like millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of views on TikTok. And we played the Stagecoach festival recently, and there are maybe 30,000 people watching. But every single one of those was someone between the ages of 20 and 30 who post to all their social media pages.
Yeah,
So I think we sold like 15,000 tickets like the next day, like nationwide, because of that. And
yeah.
you know, um, on top of, a bunch of other things kind of happening with Iris at the same time,
I was
and
gonna say.
yeah, and most of that stuff is, some of it's generated from television, some of it's generated from movies, but ultimately that stuff all folds back to social media again. And yeah, so we've benefited greatly from that whole thing.
I think that's nice though, because I feel like there was this time in the 90s where there was kind of like, I mean, a lot of, they dropped a lot of people from labels, and you guys kind of didn't have really as much support as you could have had, and
Hmm.
probably would have continued to have the same amount of, lucrative career that you were having at your height if
Yeah,
you still
yeah.
had that
Well,
support.
yeah, well, one of the difference between us and most bands of our era, honestly, like we just never stopped. Like no matter what, like we were
Yeah.
going, like we had our heads down, we were making records, we were ignoring trends, we were trying to do our best to grow as a band, use the things that we've seen and heard that were kind of coming, you know, because
Yeah.
it's funny, like when you're a band and nobody knows or cares who you are, which was the first 10 years of our band. Like you have nothing to move yourself forward but like and
Yeah.
your desire to do it, and then that happened and then you have a hit. We had Name as was a big song and it went to number one on Billboard. And all of a sudden, everybody looks at you and goes, "Okay, so what's
What
next?"
now? Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, "Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? What now? We're just going to keep doing your thing." And they're like, "No, no, 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 no. That's not how it works. You need another hit record." And that really weighed heavy on John, because John does the majority of the writing for this group, and he is, that really weighed heavy on him. But
Yeah.
I think that through all that confusion, and like we had hits on those records, like Here's Gone was a hit, Miracle Pill was a hit, So Live was a hit, like Come to Me was a hit, Sympathy was a hit. Like I like all these songs were hits, but they weren't hits like Iris was a hit. They weren't hits like Name was a hit, and
Right.
so it's a weird place to be as a band, when you have this unbelievably enormous shadow, a shadow so big that it's still cast in 20
Yeah.
30 years later, like so I think that that was part of it too. But I do think that there's a yearning for songs right now again. I mean, not that
Real
people,
music.
yeah, I mean, not that people aren't writing real music, they are, but that was a different era of music. It's just like you're not going to get a Seals and Crofts record right now. You'll never get it because it's a it was the time and it was, the situation that made that record happen. Same thing, with like, the 50s records. You can make a record that sounds like a 50s doo-wop record, but it's not going to be a 50s doo-wop record,
Right.
like, yeah, and so I think like when the real thing sort of like makes its way back again, like, there's some genuineness on it. It hasn't been through the filter of producers and record company people and radio people and all this stuff like it's still the real stuff and
Yeah.
and I think people can feel that.
Well, and AI for that matter now. So, right.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
I saw that there was a fake band that was launched on Spotify. Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah, I
Insanity.
saw that whole thing.
If you go
Yeah,
listen to it, it's so like it's lifeless. It's very generic. It doesn't like it's weird because I feel like people are like, "Oh my God, that would be good." I'm like, it's
yeah.
not. What is this?
Probably. Yeah, but you know what? It's not that much lifeless and soulless than most of the bullshit that's been put out on the radio, for
There.
the past 10 years anyway, So you're just having machines do it now instead of producers who don't give a shit,
Yeah.
like, but there are special things out there and at the like you find those special things and those special things become important to you and you know um and sometimes it's that stuff that I just mentioned, it's
Yeah.
it's that stuff, man. So much of what makes a song, like I don't think my daughter's 13, I don't think she would be a fan of Since You've Been Gone by Rainbow, which came out in 78, six or something if she didn't see it in the right context. Like she saw it watching Guardians of the Galaxy. It was in a scene she loved, and like it got stuck in her head. And she got on the soundtrack and she's like, "I love this song." And I'm like, man, I could have played you that song yesterday and you wouldn't have liked that song. But it's all about the time and the place, man, and where it brings your heart and where it brings your mind and where it brings everything
Mhm.
else, like, your ears are, it's a sensory thing, man. And, it's got direct connections to your brain. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Music really does affect you. I don't it's crazy how people don't really like grasp that entire concept like of how you can it can change your mood, it can change, the way that
yeah, man,
it's a reprogram.
there's songs from when I was a kid that I can't listen to, man. They make me feel so weird. It's
Yeah.
like I like American Pie, you know that song?
Yeah, every word actually.
Can't listen to that song, man. It freaks me out, man. I can't even tell you why. It's like as soon as it turns on, like I can't get to the radio. It's a great song. I just can't get to the radio fast enough to shut it off though, because it makes something go weird, like look weird in my heart or something, man. I don't even know, man. It's weird. Anyway,
I'm a
but yes,
psychology student too, so my like brain totally was like, ugh, Freud would think that was like a baby thing, something that happened when you were little.
I have no idea, but I can't get to the radio fast enough, man, to shut it
That's
off, man.
funny.
It's like, yeah, but that songs do have that power. They really do, to make you feel amazing or to or to make you feel creepy.
Yeah. You're right. I think something that I kind of did want to ask because of all of your new young listeners that are finding your music. Obviously, some of them are going to be musicians and they're going to be, wanting to do what you do. And there's that lovely question that we always like to ask of like, what would you say to them and what kind of advice would you give as far as maybe not just making it in the business, but like finding, being content with your music career
Yeah, I guess making it in the business
is a that
is
quote
a
unquote.
different thing, really, than sort of like making your music, I guess, is what I would say. Like, I think like making it in the business, you have to have great songs, but a lot of other things have to happen as well. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to have great songs. You just, all those other things need to happen, and you have no control over those other things. The thing you do have control over is the songs you write and the music that 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 you create. And so I guess my best advice is to focus on that. If you do that really well, then people will start wanting to hear it and they'll start coming to see your band and they'll start buying tickets. And all of a sudden, you're in the music business. I think too many people make it their focus to be in the music business and then worry about how they're going to do that after they decide they want to be in the music business. And I think that that's a little bit backwards because you're going to be chasing whatever you can to try to find something that works. And if it does work, what if it's something you don't like? What's something you hate and you end up having to do it for 40 years, like,
Mhm.
like, I mean, obviously life could be worse, that you're doing something you don't like. At least you're doing something. But, I think being true to yourself is the one is the thing that's gonna get you to the most places and make people fall in love with what you do.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. And given that, the changes that you've seen to the industry, because of the streaming and the different things like that, as far as how you make it in the business, do you feel like there's like a more even keeled shot for people now that there's not or do you feel like it's just a different set of gatekeepers?
Well, making a living at this is harder now because there was like a farm league before that you could enter. Um, but that being said, we were always a band that would fold anything we made back into trying to, be a bigger, better band, we would reinvest into what we were doing all the time. And right now there's a lot of resources out there, that you can use if you train yourself in them. There's video and desktop publishing and the unbelievable amounts of platforms that there are, to experience music on and all these
Yeah.
types of things. So, where Warner Brothers, where Lenny Waronker at Warner's, in the '80s heard our band and went, "Oh, these guys could be good someday. Let's sign them." Like that, I don't think that happens much anymore.
Right.
I think because of all these resources that are available to you, they wait for you to do the work first.
Yeah.
And so, in that aspect, there's an unbelievable amount of opportunity, but you have to be good at 300 things. You don't have to just be good at writing songs. You have to be good at posting. You have to be good at editing. You have to be good at recording. You have to be good at like all these different things because there's not a lot of money to have professionals do those things for you. So, I mean, things have changed drastically, but the road is still there. It's very clear. It's not easily navigated, but there's a road there still. It's just much different than it was when we were kids.
Yeah. Well, and I think a good point that you made though was about the crowd itself doing the work for you. That plays into treating your fans, well, and treating the other people that you because we do DIY shows. So what I see a lot of are these smaller bands supporting each other. So you don't have
Right.
to do it alone if you're out there treating people right, because even if they don't like your music,
Exactly.
they're gonna turn around and share it because they
It's
like
it's
you.
all about that. It's all about community, man. It
Yeah.
really is. And you know, like that's not that dissimilar from back then. Like when we were doing DIY shows, like early on, they were all like our tour itinerary would be like, like we play a club and then we play like Timmy's backyard, like but you couldn't load in until his parents left. Like that was what our first tour was like. Um,
That's great.
yeah, and like you'd stay at their house, and try to do as cheap as you could,
Yeah.
and yeah, and that's how the first 10 years of this band was, but it was all like tape trading clubs. Like you'd meet kids from tape trading clubs and they'd send you a postcard, like and you get it at
Yeah.
your house, and so we had a manager at the time. uh that was very tied into that whole thing. It was just a friend of ours, you know, kid a couple years younger than us actually, but he was very tied into that whole thing. So, um, you know, it was very analog, but there was that same sort of support system then, but now it's pretty amazing because you can literally go, okay, let's see, Ann Arbor, Michigan,
Yeah. Yeah.
and see who on your page likes what you do and lives there, like
That is
so
cool.
yeah, so I mean it did streamline that thing a little bit, but you know if you got it in your heart you want to do it, man, you're going to learn all these things and you're going to make it happen, and and that's what people are doing.
Well, and you'll mess up too. And that's the way to learn. Even I think some people
Absolutely.
like give up after they mess up once and it's like, why? Why'd you do that? You
Yeah.
keep doing
yeah
it.
that's that's tough, man. I think Yeah, I think a lot of it folds back into that thing you were talking about like people being able to do this for a living or not, and like you can't, like you got to just keep doing this.
Yeah.
like some people have that, they're just wired that way, and that's what they're gonna do, and they'll figure it out, as they go along. Some people decide, at 23, 24, well, maybe I got to do something else. And that's how they're wired, so it's just a different kind of person.
Yeah. I think the moral there is to do it because you love it, not because other people love it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You got to love it first. You got to love yourself first.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me and
Yeah, this was
let
fun,
everybody
man.
know about the show. It was a cool chat.
Yeah, this was fun. I appreciate it, man. And hopefully we'll see you, and hopefully we'll run into you out there sometime.
Yeah, hopefully I'll make it out to the show.
Oh,
Everwise Amphitheater at White River State Park on August 15th.
see you
All right.
soon. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
For a while, and I won't tell no one your name, and I won't tell 'em your name.